Household names, but together they're one of baseball's best.
A laser for Chris Young. The A's have taken the lead. And a sensational performance. And goodbye. Cespedes hits it out. He launches. It will go. And the A's have won it. First place in the American League West.
It is a beautiful early afternoon in Oakland, California. We welcome you to the O.co Coliseum, home of the defending American League Western Division champions, and they're sitting atop the division again right now, the Athletics. A weekend series against the L.A. Angels of Anaheim. And hi again, everybody, alongside the former A. Eric Burns. I'm Tom Brenneman. Welcome, as always, to Baseball on Fox. Maybe not a lot of big names, but a lot of big wins. How do these Oakland Athletics do it day in and day out?
Oh, that's a great question, Tom. I think a lot of people around the country are very curious. It starts with their pitching staff. I don't think there's much of a secret about that. A 3.60 staff ERA. That's #1 in the American League. And they scored just enough runs. Again, not a lot of big names, but they are #1 in walks in all Major League Baseball, so they get on base a ton.
Meanwhile, for the Angels, we all know this has been a very disappointing year. They're making a change today in their starting rotation. Out is Joe Blanton, and in is the hard-throwing youngster Garrett Richards.
Yeah, Garrett Richards, we talked to Mike Scioscia earlier today. He has electric stuff. He's one of the few pitchers in Major League Baseball will actually settle in around 95 miles per hour. For him, though, it's just a matter of controlling the strike zone early in the count.
These teams have split the first 2 games of this series, and what would a weekend be in Northern California without celebrating the 1960s? Some of these folks never left the 60s. Throwback uniforms. Fans are ready. You're ready. We're ready. Angels and A's. Baseball on Fox coming up. Northern California, but the sun breaks through, and it is a beautiful high noon Saturday. Take a look at the starting lineup presented by Taco Bell. Sometimes you gotta live Moss. For Mike Scioscia's Angels, J.B. Shuck leads off. He'll play in left field, followed by Colin Cowgill out in right. Mike Trout, of course, at center. First time ever he's hitting the number 3 spot in his young major league career. Trumbo for the injured Albert Pujols playing at first base today. More on that later. Rest of the lineup has Kendrick, Hamilton, Callaspo, Iannetta, and Ibarn. On the mound, it's left-hander Tommy Malone for the Athletics.
Playing left field, number 39, J.B. Shuck.
Look at those unis, Tom. Scouting report here on Tommy Malone. He's a strike thrower. He's going to go after guys. And any pitch, anytime. He's got 4 different pitches. He's not afraid to fall behind in the count. When he falls behind in the count, to go ahead and throw the changeup. But as far as the Angels are concerned, look for them to try to take advantage of all the strikes by Tommy Malone.
Opening pitch brought to you by Budweiser, the official beer of Major League Baseball. Great times are waiting. Grab some Buds. First pitch is high to the left-handed batting Shuck, and we are underway. Shuck's done a nice job getting playing time for the Angels. Batting at .293 without a home run. 20 runs batted in. And it's a strike to even the count at 1-1. If you're just tuning in and wondering what is the deal with these uniforms, it's a turn back the clock day, if you will, here in Oakland. Celebrating the year 1969. It's 1-2 on Shuck. So they'll be playing music from that year all day today. Many of the fans in the stands came well prepared to remember 1969. Many of you, I'm sure, remember it as well. Jam shot pop up left side of the infield. Donaldson there, and that's out number 1. We take a look at Oakland defensively. A number of changes for the A's today as well. Chris Young getting a start out in left field. Reddick in right. Chris in center. The regular cast of characters along the infield. Sogard a couple of brilliant plays here last night.
Looking over at third base, Josh Donaldson, Tom. This is a guy that a lot of people argued should have made the All-Star team. He actually had me screaming like a buffoon on MLB Network a few weeks ago because of such a great first half that he put up.
Calgo looks at ball 1. He just joined the Angels coming over from the Mets. He was their starter, in fact, on opening day. Clubbed a grand slam in his first at-bat as a New York Met. It came in an opening day romp over the San Diego Padres. And naturally, as they want to do in New York, he was going to become the Knicks' Mickey Mantle. Unfortunately for him, it did not play out that way, and now getting a chance with these Angels. Short center field, that'll fall in a base hit. Well, of course, Mike Trout had an amazing rookie year, Eric Burns, and certainly no sophomore slump.
No, and a lot of people were questioning whether or not he was going to have a sophomore slump, but he has such a good approach at the plate. And also, he's matured beyond his years. I didn't think he was going to have one. You've seen him get better each and every month. He started off slow in the month of April. I think he hit around 260, but his numbers have progressively gotten better along the way.
For those of you that did not hear the news earlier today, you know that Albert Pujols had been bothered with a terrible case of plantar fascia. That's down in your heel area. It's gotten so bad beginning last night, and then early today they sent Albert back to Los Angeles to have that left heel examined. See the numbers put up by Pujols so far this season. He's always been a great second half hitter. Nice pick out of the dirt by Moss on a throw over there by Tommy Malone. Prior to today, Mike Trout had hit in every spot in the batting order over the last year and a half since being brought up to the major leagues. Today is the first time he's ever hit into 3-hole.
You don't see him hit 9 too often anymore.
No.
Either do you, Tom?
Nope. We were there, though, when he made his major league debut last year. They called him up from Cleveland. That's right where he was hitting. That breaking ball takes inside. And it's 1 ball and 1 strike on Mike Trout. Tell you what, though, Burnsy, and you know how this goes. A lot of times in baseball, seniority, productivity through a long period of time often almost pigeonholes a manager into batting player X or player Y in that number 3 spot. And with this Angel team, you have a couple of those kind of guys in Pujols and Josh Hamilton. But perhaps today is the day where Mike Trout becomes a fixture in that number 3 hole for the Angels moving forward?
Well, I think it makes sense. And you see Trout hitting 3, Mark Trumbo, who's on deck, will be hitting 4. This is a future for the Angels. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Now, ideally, you'd like to have
Trout gone swinging out number 2 in the inning.
Good pitch right there. But I was to say, Tom, ideally, you'd like to have a healthy Albert Pujols and Josh Hamilton locked in. This is a changeup I talked about. Any pitch, any time with Tommy Malone. There's nothing electric about Malone's stuff. There's nothing overwhelming. But he throws strikes, and you never know what to expect. He never falls into any sort of pattern.
Cowgill at first base with 2 away in the inning, and here comes Mark Trumbo. Trumbo starting in place of Pujols at first base this Saturday afternoon, leading the team in home runs, 22 of those. The Angels as a club have hit 109 home runs. Not that that's necessarily a big deal, but 73 of the 109 have been solo home runs.
That's an issue.
And for Trumbo, of the 22 home runs that he has hit this year, all but 7 of them have come with the bases empty. What a great run it's been for Mike Scioscia as Angels manager, 14 years. But they have not been to the playoffs in each of the last 3 seasons. Of course, Scioscia has won a World Series that came back in 2002 in that 7-game thriller over the San Francisco Giants. 2-1 on Trumbo.
See Malone try to go inside right there. That's what he has to do. Again, not having the electric fastball, I think it's real important for him to dominate the inside part of the plate so guys don't reach over and really take care of that whole outside part.
Vogt hanging a sign, and again Malone will throw over to first base. Cowgill has not attempted a stolen base since joining the Angels team, but you take a look at now his 3rd season at Tommy Malone, 26 years old, a native Californian, originally drafted by the Washington Nationals and came over in that big deal for Gio Gonzalez prior to last year. Runner goes, and a bouncer down to 3rd. Donaldson next to the bag, throws in time, and the inning is over. A hit, a man left. The Athletics coming up as Garrett Richards goes to the Angels rotation when we return. Athletics brought to you by Taco Bell. Sometimes you gotta live Moss. It'll be Coco Crisp in center field, Jed Lowry the shortstop, and Donaldson down at 3rd, Moss the first baseman, Cespedes to DH, and Reddick in right. Chris Young starts in left field today with Vogt behind the plate, just brought up from the minor leagues. And Eric Sogard is a second baseman. And Garrett Richards, 25 years old, grew up in Oklahoma. Today makes his 17th major league start, his 5th of this year.
Well, scouting Garrett Richards here, Tom, again, frontline stuff. He will live in the mid-90s as far as his fastball is concerned. He has a devastating breaking ball, a changeup that has real nice movement to it, but he really needs to command the count. If he falls behind in the count, he relies on his fastball, and I don't care if you throw 110 miles per hour. If you're a major league hitter, well, 110 would probably be a little quick, but if you throw 100 miles per hour, major league hitters know it's coming. They can go ahead and gear up for it. That's been Garrett Richards' problem.
Yeah, I was going to say, Mike Scioscia never talked about 110. He kept referring to 102. And we have seen that, of course, from some pitchers around baseball, less than a handful of them. They saw it here in the Bay Area the other night when Aroldis Chapman was in town. Coco Crisp, the batter, hitting at .257, 10 home runs and 38 runs batted in. He has been in a terrible slump over the last month, hitting barely over 180. They're hoping these last couple of games will begin a turnaround for Crisp. Bob Melvin has been an American League Manager of the Year. That was last year. He's been a National League Manager of the Year when he took Arizona to the National League Championship Series 4 years ago. That one taken high. 3-0 on Crisp. Well, we really enjoyed our visit with both of these managers today. Two easy guys to root for.
I had an opportunity to play for Bob Melvin in Arizona, one of the best managers I ever played for. He's a player's guy. He's really one of those managers that was always letting you know what your role is, what situation he was going to put you. As you see, Crisp ground out to first. I got your job, Tom.
No problem. There are a lot of guys who could probably have it tomorrow. Let's take a look at the Angels. This has not been a good defensive team this year. In fact, among the worst defensive teams in baseball. A lot of changes today with Cowgill in right and Shuck in left. Trout, of course, in center. Trumbo replacing the injured Albert Pujols at first, and a battery of Richards and Iannetta.
So back to Melvin for a second. What's so important, or why he's so important with this Oakland Athletics club, is they love platoons. So guys knowing their roles, the situation they're going to be in, is huge. And he gives them a heads up so they have an idea of when they're going to be in there.
Jed Lowry, the shortstop, 3 hits last night. He had only had 4 hits over the last 9 games. What a pickup he's turned out to be. Coming over from the Houston Astros. Become a dependable, solid player for these Oakland Athletics. One and two the count. Of course, this Oakland turnaround began a season ago, and I don't think anybody, perhaps with the exception of Billy Beane, after they traded away 3 All-Stars during the winter of 2011 leading up to the season of 2012, saw what came last year. They were 9 games under 500 in the middle of June. They were 13 games behind the front-running Rangers at the end of June. And then they caught fire. They wound up with 94 wins, 20 more than the year before. And on the final day of the season, they won the American League West. Breaking ball, a strike 3 called on the outside corner, and Lowry didn't like the call from home plate umpire Tom Hallion. In fact, you go back to that turnaround, which began in July of last year. And the Oakland Athletics sporting the best record among all teams in Major League Baseball. And there's some pretty doggone good teams right there.
I think the Oakland Athletics were probably the best story, and no doubt, of the regular season. And it got overshadowed a little bit because the Giants won their 2nd World Series in 3 years here in the Bay Area. But all the one-run victories, all the excitement that this team brought to the Coliseum last year was incredible.
2 down, nobody on for Donaldson. who checks in at 301, 16 home runs, 61 runs batted in. He has been the best all-around offensive player on this Athletics team so far this year. Fouled back out of play, and it's a ball to strike. You were saying that Donaldson's one of the best players in baseball that a lot of people have never heard of. Why do you like him?
Well, he does everything. He plays a Gold Glove caliber third base, and if you look at his numbers, I mean, across the board, he actually had better numbers than Manny Machado, who ended up making the All-Star team. Look, it's tough because Adrian Beltre was there. He did not make it. Longoria as well, it did not make the All-Star team. So I don't think there's a deeper position in all of baseball than third base in the American League. So I get it. But Josh Donaldson, again, he's the heart and soul of this team. And with Yoenis Cespedes struggling, with Josh Reddick struggling, he's been the guy that's really carried this offense.
1-2 on Donaldson, and Richards overthrew that pitch, missing way up high, even a count of 2 balls and 2 strikes. Mike Scioscia likened Garrett Richards to Cincinnati right-hander Homer Bailey before the game today, and maybe for a lot of American League fans that have not seen Bailey. He's only 25 years old. The primary difference between the two is Bailey is closing in on 125 major league starts. For Richards, this is his 17th major league start, but he meant more along the lines of body and stuff. There are very few pitchers in Major League Baseball, not that hit 95, but as you pointed out, Eric, that settle in, meaning they will pitch 6, 7 innings in a game, and in the 7th inning, their 100th pitch of the game, they're still throwing 95 miles per hour. Well, that's nasty right there, and that'll do it for the Athletics in the 1st inning. They're gone in order. Good start for Richards. His first start back in the rotation. No score at the end of 1. By Ford, only Ford gives you EcoBoost fuel economy and a whole lot more. And by Taco Bell, sometimes you gotta live Moss. Eric Burns is grooving to the Archies. 1969 they're celebrating here in Oakland today. Throwback uniforms. Those are the old unis of Vita Blue and Blue Moon Odom and the Swingin' A's back in the 60s and, of course, early 70s, winning 3 consecutive World Series titles. To give you an idea how much the game has changed, The A's team payroll in 1969 was $279,000. Rick Monday made $25,000 a year. That was the most among all players, including Reggie Jackson and Catfish Hunter. On the ground down to Donaldson off the bat of Kendrick, and that's the way we begin the second inning. Of course, the most memorable moment of 1969, for the first time ever, man walks on the moon. Yes, Woodstock was that year. Sesame Street, Big Bird just getting underway, and Mariano Rivera, a little baby born in Puerto Rico. Who would have known? Where were you in 69, Burnsy? About 3?
No. I has 7 more years until I was born, Tom.
I was getting ready to say, I knew as soon as I said that. That ball is way back into right center field, and a long home run for Josh Hamilton. Only his 15th home run of this season, and gives the Angels a 1-0 lead in the second inning.
See Hamilton right here, gets a fastball center cut, and he just unloads. This is what Angel fans have been waiting for. Nice path to the ball. See his head down. He has so many moving parts to his swing that there's a reason why I feel like Josh Hamilton goes in prolonged slumps. If he can get in a little groove, though, look out. Kayaspo rips one down the line, just foul.
Well, that's precisely what Mike Scioscia was talking about before the game today. He said, look, we know we're up against it. We know we are where we are in the American League West, so it would be 11 games back. But he said if we could see more of this, who knows? And not just from Josh Hamilton, but up and down that entire batting order. But as much as you try to avoid laying all the blame at the footstep of any player, and it would be grossly unfair to do so, the numbers don't lie as to the Angels' success in terms of winning games. When Josh Hamilton does what he does, as opposed to when he struggles. In their wins, 47 of them, he's knocked in 34 runs and hit 12 home runs. In their losses, when he's in the lineup, there's a base hit into center field. He only has 8 home runs in those 47 losses. 8 RBIs, I beg your pardon, 2 home runs. So the numbers don't lie.
No, he's critical of the middle of that lineup. I mean, Mike Trout's been so good. Trumbo has 22 home runs. Pujols, even with the foot injury, has given them something. But when you look at Josh Hamilton, you look at an OPS, on-base plus slugging in the 600s, well, that's not necessarily what the Angels signed up for, or signed him up for.
Chris Iannetta, 210 batter, 6 home runs, 27 batted in. Swing and a miss, down a strike. The Rangers will play later tonight in Cleveland. They had a wild one there last night. Rangers losing, A's winning, so the Athletics lead stretches to 4 over Texas. That was an 11-8 Cleveland win last night. Two and 1 on Iannetta.
Always nice to get your day started with a homer.
There's a check swing, and did he go around? No on the appeal. Let's take a look at our forward keys to the game.
Four keys to the game for the Angels. Just enjoy the day, just like Josh Hamilton did. It's a day game in Oakland. They hit some balls well last night that did not go out of the yard. And then Josh Hamilton comes up here today in his first at bat and he hits a homer. I think that he feels like justice has been served after he hit one deep to left center field last night. So they're going to get a lot of strikes from Tommy Malone. And as far as the A's are concerned, make Richards work. He's just coming into the rotation after pitching in the bullpen. He's one of 6 pitchers in Major League Baseball over the course of the past 2 seasons to have 50 appearances out of the bullpen in over 10 starts.
They're going to keep a close eye on Richards and how many pitches he throws in the game today. They feel like if he's pitch efficient, as there's ball 4. A rare walk given by Malone, this one to Iannetta. So after the home run, it's been a single and a walk. And now Eric Ibar coming to the plate, but not before Vogt.
Batting in the 9th position.
We'll put heads together with Malone out there on the mound.
Eric Ibar.
Stephen Vogt, you just mentioned, has done a terrific job with this staff since being called up. He's back, actually, because John Jaso is on the 7-day concussion disabled list.
Low and away, ball 1 to Ibar. Ibar, switch batter in at 282, 4 home runs and 36 runs batted in. 2 on, 1 in, and only 1 out. Straight up in the air. Chris Young calling off the shortstop Lowry, and that's his second out of the inning.
Big out right there. Eric Ibar loves hitting in Oakland. Not a lot of opposing hitters do, but he has the highest batting average in Oakland of opposing players over the past few years.
So now we roll back over to the top of the order, and J.B. Shuck, he popped out to the third baseman Donaldson, leading off the game. Josh Hamilton has homered here in the inning. Angels with a 1-0 lead, 2 on and 2 out for Shuck. Jam shot roller down to first, and a foot race to the bag, won by Brandon Moss. And that's all for the Angels. But a scoring inning as Hamilton plays long ball, 1-0 LA. Beer in Major League Baseball. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. Boy, it is a beautiful day here in Oakland, California. A Josh Hamilton home run in this second inning has given the Angels a 1-0 lead. Garrett Richards with a 1-2-3 first inning with a couple of strikeouts. He'll face Brandon Moss to begin the A's second, and it's low for ball one. Moss 17 home runs, 47 runs batted in, but only a .233 batting average. There's a lot of that kind of line, if you will, using those three categories for many of these Oakland hitters outside of Donaldson.
I don't think they're overly concerned about batting average. They're all about getting on base and driving the ball out of the ballpark.
You know, we brought up the formula and how the A's are doing it, and we talked about their great pitching. I mean, #1 in all the American League. They've had some issues of late down in the bullpen, but Bob Melvin feels like those things will take care of themselves. Guys have thrown the ball over the last year plus, and he believes will again. As there's a walk to begin the inning to Moss. But the ability, Eric, as you pointed out, to get the really big hit when you really need it. And they are tied with Arizona for the most one-run wins in all of Major League Baseball.
Well, I think that first and foremost, I think that's a credit to the bullpen. And then on top of that, look, this is a lineup that they may not get a ton of hits, but when they do get hits, they generally matter.
The winner of Major League Baseball's Home Run Derby during the All-Star break, Yoenis Cespedes. First pitch swing, grounds it foul. Now Cespedes is in a long home run drought. You go back to June the 21st when he clubbed a pair of them in a win over Seattle. He has not had a home run since. That's in over a month.
So you're not going to count the 30-something he hit during the home run derby then, Tom.
He'd be having quite a year if we counted those. Of course, last year, after defecting from Cuba, he was a 26-year-old rookie a season ago. His first All-Star game this year in the Big Apple, first player ever to win the home run derby despite not being selected to the All-Star game. 17 home runs came in the first round.
That was fun to watch. I just had an opportunity to watch him take batting practice in spring training. So when he ended up in the home run derby, I immediately knew that he was going to at least give it a good run. And that he did.
And he went around on a breaking ball down and away from him, and he's gone on 3 straight pitches.
Real nasty breaking ball from Richards right here, but Yoenis Cespedes, he's been having some issues. He's been getting pounded in, then they go away. I mean, really, this isn't rocket science when you talk about what to do with big power hitters. The book's pretty much the same. You throw them fastballs inside, you throw them slow stuff away, and right now, Yoenis Cespedes, he's not in any sort of groove.
Nor is Josh Reddick, and I think he's been one of the real surprises for the Athletics team, but they haven't seen more of that. There's one hooked into right field, a base hit. And Moss advancing on to second, 2 on, 1 out. And that's the first hit for the A's against Richards today.
Reddick had some really nice at-bats last night. He's starting to hit the ball hard. The good thing about being where Josh Reddick is, 218, 5 home runs, 34 driven in coming into today, is you have to fear he's a much better player than that, and the law of averages are going to play out.
Chris Young, the batter. And Mike Scioscia trying to get the attention of his left fielder, but apparently some kind of debris has come onto the playing field. And there we go. Baseball fell out of the stands, it looks like. Couple up. Young, 9 home runs, 30 runs batted in. Young put together some very good seasons playing center field regularly for the Arizona Diamondbacks. You know, naturally, you look at some of the years he put up. The first question that comes to mind, and we asked it point blank to Bob Melvin, what has happened to Chris Young? Former All-Star over in the National League. He said, look, there are guys that are everyday players, and now you ask them to be platoon players, and it just doesn't work. And very tough for a guy to maybe play 1 or 2 days a week when they're used to playing 5, 6, 7 days a week. You were one of those guys.
Well, yeah, I also had an opportunity to play with Chris Young, but no doubt I was one of those guys. If I could play on a daily basis, when I was playing on a daily basis, I was much better. I think most of the players in Major League Baseball players will say that. Chris Young, it's very difficult not to get those consistent at-bats. And when he's not going to get those consistent at-bats, you're not going to get that consistent production.
Two on, 1 out. Athletics trailing 1-0. We're in the bottom of the second inning. And that one is lined into left field, and a sliding grab made by Shuck. 2 away in the inning, and right now let's send it to the MLB Network studios for a game break and our buddy Matt Besker.
Tommy, the Nationals began the day losers in 12 of their last 16, bottom of the second, and on consecutive pitches, he and Desmond Denard's span say enough of that. Back-to-back home runs. The first home runs allowed by Dylan G in his last 5 starts. 2-0 Nats. Back to you and Bernsey in Oaktown.
National League East, it's been all Atlanta. I don't know if anybody saw that 50-54 record coming for the Washington Nationals after they had the most wins of all teams in the National League, 98 of them a year ago.
A lot of people had them pegged as a super team.
Well, including their manager, Davey Johnson, who said before the year ever began that it's the World Series or bust. Well, so far, it has been the latter rather than the former.
See this nice play by Shuck. Chris Young hit the ball hard. Shuck comes in and makes a very nice play. He made a nice play last night up against the wall over in the corner.
2 on, 2 out. And it's low and in, 3-0.
Some people have questioned his defense a little bit. From everything that I've seen, he's not the smoothest guy in the world. He's just kind of pot calling the kettle black. I can understand that. But he finds a way to get the job done.
Two 2-0 on Vogt in his second go-round this season with the A's. And there's a strike, 2-1. We brought up earlier that Jaso went on the 7-day concussion DL after taking a number of foul balls off the mask. That's a new rule they've implemented in recent years for Major League Baseball players. What with all of the talk and all the studies about concussions and their short-term and long-term effects on a player's health while playing and beyond their playing years.
Yeah, so Stephen Vogt's had the opportunity to come up here. Now, he started his career, what was it, 0 for 30-something before he finally got a hit, and that hit was a home run.
Breaking ball down and in last night in that 6th inning. The 2-run home run, and it turned out to be a huge home run. It made it a 6-2 game at the time, but the Angels wound up scoring twice in the 9th inning. In a 6-4 Oakland win, the second career home run for Vogt.
Well, it's not by accident. You look at his numbers in AAA, I think he's somewhere around 320. He had over 10 home runs, so he could swing the bat a little bit.
Runners get started, 3-2 pitch, and a roller right back to the mound. And Richards, who's been a little bit wild here in the early going, but it's only his 5th start of the year, has a 1-0 lead. We're back to Oakland with Trout coming up after a word from your local Fox station. Presented by Taco Bell. We're in Oakland, California. Turn back the clock Saturday afternoon in Oakland, California. Wearing the uniforms, both teams going back to 1969. First pitch swinging is Cowgill to begin the Angels' third inning with a 1-0 lead over Tommy Malone and the Athletics on a Josh Hamilton solo home run in the second. Breaking ball down and in, a ball and a strike. Cowgill to be followed by Trout and Trumbo. Kind enough to join us from down in the Oakland Athletics dugout is Brett Anderson. He is on the comeback trail. You may remember he was this time a year ago when he came back from Tommy John surgery last August. There's a bouncer to the glove side of Donaldson, 1 out. Made 6 starts before season-ending oblique injury, but a very good 4-2 record, ERA at 2.5. So, Brett, you threw a bullpen today, another one. How did it go?
It went well. You know, I threw 25 pitches, kind of simulated starting and getting prepared for a game, and then sat down and simulated, sitting for a half inning, and then getting back out there and throwing 25 more like I would throw in an inning. And my body felt good, my pitches were good, and kind of put this foot injury behind me and worry about my pitches and what they're doing now.
Brett, how frustrating has it been for you dealing with all the injuries over the past couple seasons?
It's extremely frustrating, coming back from Tommy John and pitching fairly well, and then you think you're going to have a full season under your belt and make a handful of starts and get hurt again and kind of have to repeat the rehab process all over again. But it kind of just makes you more strong and gives you more drive to get back out there and participate and help your team win some games when you can finally get out there.
Of course, it was game 3 of the ALDS last year. Athletics against the Detroit Tigers. Brett Anderson, 6 shutout innings, allowing only 2 hits to that very, very good Detroit hitting team. You struck out 6, walked only 2. It gave you a taste, Brett, of the postseason for the first time. And obviously you guys have to be thinking along those same lines with a little more than 2 months to go here in 2013.
Yeah, we're a little ways out, but, getting into the playoffs last year kind of gives us some experience under our belt, and hopefully, we can learn from those situations we were in last year, and it'll carry over this season and get, back into the playoffs and hopefully farther and see what happens.
I know when you came back last year, you went right into the rotation, but has there been any discussion at all, Brett, about maybe you coming back this year and working initially out of the bullpen, anything along those lines?
A little bit, but, I'm just going to come in and make sure I'm healthy and good to go, and whatever role they want me to be in, I'll be in, whether like I said, starting or relieving or whatever they want me to do, as long as I can help this team win some ball games.
Well, I know that everybody around here is so excited. Your manager Bob Melvin's so excited that you're heading in the right direction, and so we wish you well coming back and the best of luck. We hope to see you back out here the next time we're here.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Brett Anderson, another bullpen session today. As Trumbo has gone swinging, and that is an 8-pitch 1-2-3 inning for Tommy Malone. 1-0 Angels after 2.5. Day today. Two clubs wearing their throwback uniforms from 1969. Talk about some of the names for the Athletics. How about some of those that year for the Angels? Shortstop Jim Ferragozzi, Andy Messersmith, left-hander Clyde Wright, among others. How would you like to see these A's wear these unis on a regular basis now, Eric Burns, as they trail 1-0 batting in the bottom of the third inning?
I would love to see it. I think they're great. I think people would argue they may be a little slow pitch softball sort of unis.
That one dumped into left field, and that's the way it starts in the Oakland third on a single by Sogard. Caught up with Mike Scioscia a moment ago. His early impressions on his starter today, Garrett Richards.
Even though I think he's going to work his way into a little more velocity, just trying to get settled. Spun the ball well the first inning. When he had to get in the zone, he did. Got behind some guys, but hopefully he'll settle in and start throwing some more first pitch strikes.
So we talked about Josh Hamilton earlier. It must be nice to see him get in that groove that we were talking about.
Well, it's great swing he put on there, and hopefully Josh is going to feel a little more comfortable in the second half and start to do what he can do. He's mega talented. He's just had a really rough go in the first half, and it's good to see though that swing, no doubt.
Mike, before we let you go, what do you say to your team at this point in the year, where you are right now?
Say we can win. I think you come out here every day and focus on the process. We have a team that isn't firing on all cylinders, but we've got some guys that are playing really well. I think as we reestablish some depth, I expect us to make the run that we anticipate, and we can do this.
Mike, thanks for the time. Best of luck to you.
All right, Tom, thank you.
Like Mike Scioscia, 54 years young, the longest tenured manager in all of Major League Baseball. He's led these Angels to 5 American League Western Division titles. Mentioned the World Series in 2002, but no playoffs since 2009, including last year when they won 89 games. Leadoff man aboard. A's down 1-0 and back to the top of the order, and Crisp bringing it with him. And that'll be a bunt single for Coco Crisp. You can't roll it out there any better than that.
See Coco Crisp here, square around, brings it with him. What a perfect bunt. It's kind of deadens it. Right out there, gets it to check up a little bit. A little bit harder, he's probably out. It had good backspin to it. Now the A's are in business.
The A's generally are not a team based on their overall club philosophy, started by their general manager, Billy Beane. They don't bunt often. They do run a little more than you might think in terms of stealing bases. But by not bunting here, you always run the risk of a double play ground ball with first and second and nobody out, and that's precisely what happened. So a runner stands at third, 2 out, and we check in again from the MLB Network studios with Matt Vasgersian.
Tom, Mets and Nats once again. Dylan G had allowed a total of 2 runs in 3 previous starts against the Nationals this season. Today's a different story. Bryce Harper's 15th of the year, making it 4-0 Nats in the 4th. Back to you and Eric.
All right, Matt, thank you very much. And certainly that National League East, and we showed you the standings a moment ago, that is a division only to be lost, it looks like right now, by the Atlanta Braves. And they're pitching much like these A's and the other top clubs around all the Major League Baseball has been dynamite all year long, although they did lose Tim Hudson earlier this week with a broken ankle. Tying run at third, 2 are out after the double play ground ball from Lowry. Donaldson struck out swinging his first time up. Two and 0.
We saw the bunt by Coco Crisp with the runner on first, and the A's don't like to bunt because they don't want to give up outs. You only get 27 outs, they don't want to give them up, so you have to understand that. But Coco Crisp wasn't bunting to sacrifice the runner right there. He was bunting for a base hit. Now, worst case scenario, what happens? And the reason why he brings it to the right side is you make sure that runner gets from first to second base.
And we asked Bob Melvin about it before the game. And he said, look, early in the game, I'm not bunting. Meaning the situation with Lowry, not with Chris. He said early in the game, not going to do it. A little bit later on in the game, we will do it and have done it.
Yeah, but he said, well, we need one run. But he doesn't want to sacrifice the big inning potentially early in the contest.
Saw the numbers on Donaldson when you put runners on base. Now 3 balls and a strike. Richards has only thrown 3 more strikes than balls so far in the game today. But I guess you could call him effectively wild. He has struck out 3. He's only walked 1. And now the 3-1 delivery, and it's fouled away. 3 balls, 2 strikes.
Those are the type of counts that Mike Scioscia was talking about. Garrett Richards needs to avoid. You get in a 3-1 count. You have a good hitter like Josh Donaldson. He knows he's going to get a fastball. Now, maybe a little bit of a different scenario here now that the count's full and you have first base open. But that's been the only thing that's really preventing Richards from having an enormous amount of success.
3-2 delivery on Donaldson. And here it comes. Came with a breaking ball 3-2. And that was a good breaking ball 3-2.
He has a nasty breaking ball. Good late bite to it. He left that a little bit up in the zone. It's a good piece by Donaldson right there. When a guy throws in the mid-90s, you're generally not looking for a breaking ball with the count full.
Very good numbers for Richards. Those numbers primarily built up working out of the bullpen. He had his best month here in the month of July, pitching out of that Angels bullpen. And a bouncer down to third. And the throw is in time from Kayaspa. And after starting the inning with back-to-back hits, the A's come up empty. Josh Hamilton due up in the Angels' 4th. He's homer to the game already for a 1-0 lead. Vitamin in Major League Baseball and by T-Mobile. Now your choice is simple. T-Mobile, unleash. Folks taking the BART that drops off just outside of O.Co Coliseum in Oakland, California. American League Western Division rivals convening over this 4-game weekend series. Angels won the opener. The A's behind the ageless one. Bartolo Colon came back to win here last night. So game 3 today and 1 more to go tomorrow. The Angels defeated the Athletics 2 out of 3 in Anaheim following the All-Star break. That ended a 6-series winning stretch for the Athletics leading up to the All-Star break. And a 4-game lead, as we mentioned, over the Rangers going into play today, and Texas plays tonight in Cleveland, Ohio.
Interesting battle right here. Howie Kendrick probably uses the right side of the field for a right-handed hitter better than anybody in all of baseball. I'd say him and Derek Jeter. And you have Tommy Malone here wanting to control the inside part of the plate, not allowing him to use his strength.
Kendrick will be followed by Hamilton and then Callaspo. Three and 2. 1 run, 3 hits for the Angels. No runs, 3 hits for Oakland.
As far as the Angels are concerned, we had an opportunity to talk to Jarrett Weaver yesterday. And like Mike Scioscia said, these guys aren't giving up. They're 11 out. But let's remember, the A's were 13 out. Now, it was a little bit earlier in the season, but it was late June. So anything's possible. They just need to get more support in their rotation outside of Weaver and C.J. Wilson at the top of the rotation. If they can get Vargas back and hopefully Richards is successful, yeah, this team can get back into it.
Well, this was one of the real darling picks all over baseball during the wintertime. Everybody talking about Southern California baseball, L.A. baseball. Dodgers going out and spending money as though they're printing money. Brought in Zach Greinke, the Angels, Josh Hamilton. Dodger payroll up over $230 million. The Angels knocking on the door of $200 million. Ground ball to short, and that's the way it starts in the 4th inning. Let's go around the ballpark today. Took a look at the Fox Sports 1 fan cam. We see fans who are very excited, as are we, about America's new sports network, Fox Sports 1, coming in August. Fox Sports 1 was not even a twinkle in her daddy's eye back in 1969. And that's where we are here today, celebrating that year on Throwback Day in Oakland. Those are the numbers we were talking about, just some of the numbers when Hamilton has delivered in games this season. This Angels team has been very, very successful. And his home run his first time up today, the only run for either team in the game thus far, and we're in the 4th. 1-2 to Hamilton.
The first inning, they try to come inside. Malone left it out over the middle of the plate, and he absolutely tattooed it deep into the bleachers in right center.
But you went back and watched a lot of tape on Josh Hamilton. And let's remember now, I mean, really his struggles began after an unbelievable first 2 months in Texas last year. He did not finish the season well. That has been well documented. He barely hit over 220 over the final 4 months of the season. There's a high fly ball into center field. Should be the second out of the inning, and it is. And you went back and really watched a lot of video of Josh Hamilton.
Yeah, I did, Tom. When he was struggling early in the season, I even went back and watched some footage from last year. I wanted to try to figure out what was going on. He's always been very aggressive attacking the first pitch. He's always been up towards the top of the league and swinging at the first pitch. But the difference was between earlier last year and then late last year and what you've seen this year is that he's not swinging at his pitch. And I would go back and even talking about the Oakland A's philosophy of being selectively aggressive. It's okay to swing at the first pitch so long as it's a pitch that you can drive. Well, Josh Hamilton was making a lot of easy outs on first pitches that weren't pitches to drive.
When you look at last year, Hamilton, he swung at more pitches outside of the strike zone than any other player in Major League Baseball. Those are some of the first pitch numbers, batting only .246. But look, you talk to any hitting instructor, you talk to you talk to Little League coaches, and I'm not trying to diminish anything here, but it is very hard to hit unless you're swinging at strikes. And in Hamilton's case last season, swung at more pitches out of the strike zone than any player in baseball, and most of those came over the second half of the year. There's ball 4 to Alberto Callaspo. He singled his first time up, now draws a 2-out walk here in the 4th. Second walk issued by Malone, and that'll bring up Iannetta.
Now batting, number 17, Chris Iannetta.
Iannetta walked his first time up. Strike one.
The Angels this year just 22nd in stolen bases. It's not where Mike Scioscia wants his club to be. He'd like to run more.
You know, oftentimes, and we have discussed this many, many times over the last number of years, and it really began with the New York Yankees back when they had won the 3 straight World Series, lost in 2001 to Arizona in that unbelievable 7-game set. But they had a lot of, I'm not going to call them role players, but they had players that you could do a lot of things with, that you could hit and run with, that you could steal with, you could go first to third with. Heck, Joe Girardi, now the Yankee manager, led the league in sacrifice bunts 2 years in a row. They had Scott Brocious, guys like that. Then all of a sudden the Yankees went out and started spending ridiculous amounts of money putting together a very different kind of a lineup. A murderer's row, middle of the lineup kind of team that would do a lot of sitting around and waiting on the long ball. And if you really document this Angels franchise, they have gone down that same sort of road, going back to the kind of lineups and teams that Mike Scioscia had when he first began to manage, to now the kind of team that when everybody's healthy in the lineup, you don't run much or do much anymore.
The key is when everybody's healthy, though. Now, without Pujols out today, you look at the line, it's Shuck, Cowgill, Trout. All 3 of those guys can steal bases. Trumbo, Howie Kendrick. Trumbo, maybe not so much. Alberto Callaspo, though, here's the guy. And this is Mike Scioscia. This is who he is as a manager. He loves to see guys going first or third. He loves to try to steal. This is one of those teams, you're right, it's changed a little bit with Pujols, Hamilton, Trumbo in the middle of that lineup. But right now you have to play with what you have. About 1.4 seconds, by the way. I just timed Tommy Malone to home plate. Generally, anything in the 1.3 range or above, you would have a pretty good shot, but you would have to go first move here.
Runner not going, and it's ball 4. So Malone, who walked 1 batter in the first 3 innings, has issued back-to-back walks after 2 are out here in the 4th. And Eric Ibar coming up tomorrow. Landon Donovan and Team USA look to cap off the most successful run in team history. They take on Panama for the top prize in the North American soccer. Our coverage gets underway. Final beginning at 3:30 Eastern right here on Fox. Ibar popped up to the shortstop his first time up, nearly hit with that pitch. And now a visit to the mound by Vogt.
On the 3-2 pitch, the reason why you said not going down the street 2 outs, Callaspo on first base, well, he needs to make sure that he's going to go home. So you don't want to make, again, if earlier in the count, if you're going to steal, generally it'd be very difficult to break back to first base, and then once you figure out he's going home, to take off. So when you have a lefty that's 1-3, 1-4, now if you get a lefty that's up there in the 1-5, 1-6 range, you can almost do a lean back and then take off. But in that situation, again, the 3-2 count, 2 outs, Kayaspo on first base, you want to make sure, first and foremost, you're not going to get picked off, so you're not too worried about getting going. Make sure he goes home.
2 on, 2 out. And it's 2 balls and no strikes after the visit to the mound by not only Bode, but pitching coach Kurt Young. Eric brought up earlier, Eric Ibar, the highest batting average in this ballpark among all major league players over the last 4 years. You see with runners in scoring position, very good numbers for Ibar this season. There's a strike. Into left field, and Young able to track it to end the inning. 2 walks, 2 left, 1-0 Angels. He returns as flyweight champion Demetrius Johnson puts his title on the line against top contender John Moragan, highlighting a full night of epic fights. The World Flyweight Championship, Fox UFC Saturday, live and free tonight beginning at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Beautiful Saturday afternoon here in Oakland, California. The home team trailing Garrett Richards 1-0. First pitch swinging, fly ball off the bat of Moss, and that's quickly 1 out. Cespedes coming up, missed playing time earlier in the week, feeling the effects of an injured wrist. When they have him in the lineup, they tend to win a lot of games. When they don't, they don't. The largest drop in winning percentage of any single player on any single team in baseball.
That's pretty incredible. The only way to really look at that is figure he makes other guys around him better. Josh Reddick, Brandon Moss. Somebody to drive in Coco Crisp. Josh Donaldson. That's why Donaldson's been so big this year.
Well, 3 things you need to know about Cespedes. His mother, of course, a star softball pitcher for his homeland in Cuba. Made his first bat out of a tree branch. And how about that, polished with glass? Think about the time. And nothing but mom's simple love to go do that for you. We brought up earlier the first non-All-Star to win a home run derby. Of course, the unbelievable journey for his entire family after Cespedes had defected from Cuba. The journey, though, of his mom and other family members and what they faced as they struggled to meet him in the United States. I'm not even sure a movie script buyer would want any part of that. They had to escape to begin with from Cuba. They had a dispute with an agent once they did so. They had near death from both exposure and from starvation when they wound up on a tiny little sliver of an island in the middle of the Atlantic. And then spent weeks of detention on the island of Turks and Caicos to finally get back and join him in America. He would not talk about it, did not talk about it with anybody while all of this was going on through the entire 2012 season, his first in the major league. 3-2 on Cespedes. And that was a 3-2 pitch. Scoreboard had it wrong. That's ball 4. So right now, let's send it back to Matt Vasgersian at the MLB Network studios for a game break.
Tom, Chris Archer has become the 3rd rookie in the last 30 years to beat the Yankees twice at home in the same season. It's his 2nd shutout in his last 3 starts. As for the Yankees, shut out for the 9th time, their most since '97, but perhaps help is on the way. Joe Girardi just announced that Derek Jeter will play tomorrow. Back to you guys.
Of course, Jeter injured in his very first game back after returning about 3 weeks ago with the Yankees, and now hoping they'll get him back again. Time is starting to slip away from the Yankees, especially the way Tampa Bay is playing right now.
Talk about a team very similar to the Oakland A's, trying to figure out each and every year how they continue to get it done. It's generally with their pitching. And Chris Archer, I mean, it's so great to watch a young guy come up into the league and show the emotion the way he does. I think too often major league players nowadays, they want to act like they've been there and done that before. Well, you know what? Chris Archer's case, well, I haven't really been here and I haven't really done it, so right. I'm going to go ahead and enjoy it.
Well, you were one of those guys. You did the same thing. You played with a lot of fire and a lot of emotion up there.
I think it's important as a player just to be yourself. And I'm not saying that a mild-mannered guy has to go out there and fake it.
But if it's part of your makeup, then go ahead and be that way. Is that what you're suggesting?
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the reasons why you see this athletics team have so much success. And even the Rays team with Joe Madden over there is you don't need to conform. You know, these guys, they enjoy coming to the ballpark. They enjoy hanging out with one another.
Breaking ball away, and it's 2-2 now on Reddick.
No one forces you to act or to be a certain way.
And of course, it's been you know, historically speaking, they never force you to look a certain way when you play here for the Athletics.
I mean, that goes all the way back to the 70s. I guess we'd probably say 69.
That's right. We are in the bottom of the 4th inning. Angels with a 1-0 lead. Cespedes at first. Has 6 steals, has been thrown out 6 times. And a bouncing ball will be played nicely to the glove side by Kendrick, who throws out Reddick. On to second goes Cespedes, 2 away in the inning.
Great play by Howie Kendrick over here. One of those ones where he dives almost in a position to be able to get up right away, set his feet, make a solid throw to first base.
Well, runner in scoring position now for Chris Young. He hit the ball very hard his first time up. A sinking line drive and a hit taken away on a sliding catch out there made by J.B. Shuck. Boy, pretty good breaking ball right there, and Richards does not get the call. Ball one.
I talked to David Forrest, the assistant general manager, yesterday, and I asked him, how often do you look into a guy's makeup before bringing him over here or potentially sign a guy? He said, well, you know, we do a little bit of a background check, but really not a whole lot. We look at the numbers, and as far as the makeup and getting guys to gel, he said that's Bob's job. Bob, referring to Bob Melvin. And it makes sense. But there definitely has been some sort of culture that's been created here. And I don't know when it started. I was here with Jason Giambi and Miguel Tejada and Eric Chavez. And we had that same sort of atmosphere. And it's amazing because it's the exact same way in that clubhouse now.
It takes a much broader forum than sitting here while you're describing the details of the action during a baseball game, but it is so uniquely different to talk to the manager of the Athletics, whether that's Bob Melvin, you know, you pick anybody else, Ken Maka, Art Howe through the years, and the manager's relationship with their general manager, Billy Beane, and of course a book that initially came out, Moneyball, later turned into a very successful and very well done movie about the overall philosophy and really the about face by Billy Beane. There's a fly ball to right field that should end the inning, and it will. Beautiful day in Northern California. We go to the fifth. 1-0 Angels.
Number 39, J.B. Shuck.
One run, 3 hits for the Angels. The 1 run, a home run by Josh Hamilton back in the second inning. A's have been shut out by Garrett Richards on 3 hits. So now Tommy Malone climbs him out and starts to go through the batting order for a 3rd time. And it starts with the former Ohio State Buckeye, J.B. Shuck. Shuck popped to third his first time up, bounced out to first his last time up. Trying to butt his way on and fouls it off. Let's take a look at our Fox Sports 1 pitcher comparison presented by Fox Sports 1, America's new sports network, coming in August.
Both these guys have been pretty good so far. You see the 3 walks by Tommy Malone. Not necessarily what he's known for, generally a guy that pounds the strike zone.
Taken high, and it's 1 ball and 2 strikes on Shuck. Malone had only walked 29 batters in 122 2/3 innings coming into the game today. So normally he is indeed a strike thrower. 2-2 to Shuck, followed by Cowgill and then Mike Trout.
He walked only 36 in 190 plus innings last season.
Very little happening offensively for either one of these teams so far today. And that one hooked to the right side in short right field grass. It's Sogard to throw out Shuck. Chevrolet, the official vehicle of Major League Baseball, is celebrating a new season for new memories. For your chance to win a community field makeover and an all-new 2014 Impala. Visit ChevyBaseball.com. Cowgill has singled and bounced out to third. We brought up earlier Cowgill and hitting that grand slam on opening day for the Mets. 2 weeks later began to struggle. 2 weeks after that he was gone in a deal to these Angels. 4th team for him since 2011. 3 times he's been traded, but has never been given a chance no more than 105 at bats in any one major league season. But depending on the Pujols situation, if that forces Trumbo to come in and play more first base on any kind of regular basis, Cowgill might get a lot more at bats.
Yeah, Peter Borges should be back in a couple of weeks, but J.B. Shuck has been very good for them. Colin Cowgill is another guy who could help them. Shuck hitting .293 coming into today, on base percentage around .330 plus.
But you know what every Angels fan is saying right now, though, Eric. You know, they're saying, look, we're happy if Shuck or Cowgill or these guys get a chance to do well. If they do play, we want them to do well. But that's not what they had in mind when this season began.
Of course not.
We're saying move Trout to a corner outfield spot because they were going to play Borges for his defense in center field. Hamilton was going to play right, Trumbo DH, but then all of a sudden the plantar fascia issue gets started with Pujols as Cowgill has gone on strikes. But Trout has been without question the story for the Angels again this year. In the history of the American League, the fewest number of games before any player reached 50 or more homers, 50 or more stolen bases. And that would belong to the Angels center fielder Mike Trout.
Well, in my opinion, he is the best all-around player in all of baseball. Just does everything. If you're a baseball fan right now, it's so great to see the youth coming up. Mike Trout, Bryce Harper, Manny Machado, Yasiel Puig. You could almost put on that list now. Not only are these guys good, what excites me, Tom, is that they play the game the right way. Constantly hustling, taking the extra base, every chance, every opportunity. Bryce Harper has actually been criticized for playing the game too hard.
I never knew there was such a thing. Especially if you were a kid growing up watching Pete Rose play every day, right?
It was something special. For a while, I almost felt like the mentality to see Tommy Malone go up and into Trout for ball 4. But for a while, and it was almost right about the time I was breaking into the big leagues, it became not cool to run balls out. And I never understood that. Guys would hit fly balls and just kind of coast it down on it first. And it correlated, the time it correlated a little bit with the era that guys were just bopping balls out of the ballpark, and it was what was going to be known as the steroid era. And it's interesting because I look at the game of baseball now, and it's a better game. It's a more complete game. Now, have we completely ridded the game of performance-enhancing drugs? No, I don't think there's any doubt about it. But I think you could almost see the play on the field start to mimic more of something that, you know, wasn't a quote-unquote home run derby sort of game.
Mm-hmm. I think you're right. I mean, the home runs are way, way down. The pitching numbers are way, way up. So it forces, you know, the style of play and the hustle, the extra base, whatever the case may be, can become that much more important over the course of a 9-inning game. There's a swing and a miss by Trumbo, 1 ball and 1 strike. I don't think there's any doubt about it. We're seeing defense, by and large, become a bigger factor in the game again. Better defense becoming a bigger factor in the way teams are put together. You're not going to win with a bunch of guys that are really good with a glove. You got to have some hitters. I mean, we know that, and you got to have the pitching. Oh, and 2 on Trumbo. Here's a guy, Trumbo, that's had to take a different mitt, seemingly 3 or 4 of them, to the ballpark every single day. It's right field, short time last year at third base, now first base, occasional designated hitter where he doesn't need a glove at all.
That was kind of weird. That was supposed to be a pitch out, and I'm not sure that Tommy Malone got the sign.
No, he was trying to come in the side gate with that breaking ball.
Looked like he was going for the backdoor cutter, just like you said, Tom.
Well, he got it this time. And that's all for Trumbo. Strikes out for the second time. Still 1-0 Angels after 4.5. Bell is sponsored by the all-new 2014 Chevy Silverado. Welcome back to Oakland, California. And that little youngster right there made the trip in from Southern California. Matt Andrews celebrating his 6th birthday today. Matt, we hope you're having a great birthday hanging out with Dad. Good stuff.
Hitting off the bottom of the inning for the Athletics, 21, catcher, Stephen
Vote to begin things here in the Oakland bottom of the 5th inning, trailing 1-0. Garrett Richards taking the spot of Joe Blanton in the starting rotation today. Blanton has already lost 13 games in this his first year with the Angels. Of course, a long time pitch for these Athletics. And Mike Scioscia just wanting to let things calm down and settle down a little bit for Blanton that have just been spiraling for quite a while now. So Richards gets a chance, 25 years old. His first start today since he got kicked around by these Athletics at the end of April. He's been working out of the bullpen. And while he has certainly had some command issues here today, but look, at the end of the day, you can talk about balls and strikes and first pitch strikes, and you can talk about all those numbers in the world. Right now, the Oakland Athletics have not scored a run, and that is the only number that means anything to Mike Scioscia so far.
Yeah, I think he's throwing the ball well. I mean, you see the 2 walks, he struck out 3 guys.
Fly ball in the right field. It'll back up Cowgill to the track. 1 out.
I've been really impressed with his breaking ball, Tom. I didn't realize he had. When I thought of Garrett Richards, it was always, hey, hard thrower, suspect secondary pitchers. But as we talked to Scioscia earlier today, and he was telling us how great his breaking ball is, the problem is with him, and the reason why he gives up more hits than innings pitched is so often he falls behind in the count. And he relies on his fastball, and he has to go to either the 2-seam or 4-seam fastball. And when guys know what's coming, even if it is a mid-90s fastball, it's not very difficult to hit.
Ball 1 to the number 9 batter, Sogard. He has one of the 3 hits today for the Athletics against Garrett Richards. 1-1.
Generally, when I look at a pitcher, Tom, and I want to figure out how nasty he is, I'll look at innings pitched, I'll look at hits per innings pitched, and then I'll look at strikeouts per innings pitched. Garrett Richards, for me, is kind of an anomaly because he gives up more hits than innings pitched. He doesn't strike out a guy an inning or more, which most guys with his sort of stuff do. And you wonder if this is just part of the maturation process. And you mentioned Homer Bailey from Cincinnati, who was very similar early in his career. And I would talk to other major league hitters around the league, and they would tell me how nasty Homer Bailey was. Now, I knew he threw hard, but I didn't quite see it as a baseball analyst. And now, you know very well that Homer Bailey has really come into his own as one of the premier pitchers in the National League.
Yeah, he's no doubt about it. The stuff is beginning to finally, come there all together at the same time. And we know how that can be. I mean, you're a #1 pitcher. And again, Scioscia was the guy who brought up the name Homer Bailey, not me. But, Scioscia said, I think he has a chance to be like Bailey as far as just his stuff, his makeup. This young man's from Oklahoma, Bailey, a native Texan. There's a pop-up into short right center field. Who wants it? And the catch is made by Cowgill. 2 away in the inning. Now Eric Burns, starting in 2000, the start of your 11-year Major League career. First 6 seasons spent right here with the Athletics. Nearly 500 games. Unbelievable plays, all the hustle. That was a fun group to break in with right here in the Oakland Athletics. A fun group because you had some good teams and a lot of good players.
It was, Tom. And you mentioned the movie Moneyball earlier, and I had a couple cameo shots in there. As a matter of fact, at the beginning of the movie, I strike out, and then at the climax of the movie, the pinnacle, right, I get pinch hit for by Scott Hatterberg. So that was my Hollywood debut. But, no, those were those were some good times. Those were some good teams. A lot of people also ask me about how realistic that movie was.
Oh.
I think a breaking ball got away from Richards right there, apparently. Yep, a curveball that, well, let's just say it didn't curve.
Well, it curved to the backstop.
So anyhow, just about the realistic, how realistic that movie was. I think it was very realistic. Now, we weren't putting dollar bills in to get sodas out of the machine, but I thought they did a really good job of creating it. Now, again, the critics are going to come up and talk about Hudson, Mulder, and Zito and how they weren't very, much mentioned in that movie or even mentioned at all. I get that, but it wasn't about that. It was about a philosophy, and it was about Billy Beane. I mean, if you're going to have Brad Pitt as your main guy, that's essentially what the movie's going to be about. And
Brad Pitt wasn't playing Eric Burns or Scott Hatteberg.
No.
Swinging a pop-up to the third base side. A lot of foul ground here in Oakland, but not enough this time. I keep wondering, you bring up the movie Moneyball, I keep wondering, well, where's my royalty check on that thing? I mean, they're using me before you even see Brad Pitt, for crying out loud. It's me broadcasting one of the playoff games right here on Fox that the A's were playing back during those days. And, I'm saying that tongue-in-cheek. I was very honored.
Well, I'm wondering, we're going to have to go back and check. It would be you calling my strikeout then.
It might have been. There's a swing and a miss. You know what? You might be right. I'm quite sure you're right, in fact. I apologize. See, be careful what you wish for sometime. I might get my tail kicked in between innings now. Helping you do what you do even better. AT&T Rethink Possible. And by Line & Kugel's Summer Shandy. Join us out here. Mount Diablo. Have you ever climbed to the top of that, Eric Burns? Hiked up to the top of that, whatever you do?
I have bicycled.
Have you really?
Mount Diablo, absolutely.
Because you grew up, about a 45-minute ride, hour from here?
45 minutes, coast, straight out to the ocean, Half Moon Bay, California. Is where I currently make my home.
Well, it's beautiful country down there, no debate about it.
Home of the Pumpkins and the Big Waves.
1-0 ball game in favor of the Angels. Josh Hamilton hit a home run all the way back in the second inning off Tommy Malone, and that's been it. Each team with 3 base hits. In fact, neither team has had a hit since a bunt single by Coco Crisp back in the Athletics' 3rd inning. Fly ball down the right field line, and sliding and catching and foul ground is Reddick. What a play by Josh Reddick.
No, he dropped it.
Oh, I thought he had it. I beg your pardon. That must have squirted out of there. Wow, I thought he had it. The umpire gave the initial sign that he had it.
He came a long way for this baseball, and he did have it. Now, as he flipped over. Oh, right there, it just popped out of his glove. Good effort.
Sure it was. Take another look here.
At that point, the ball's caught, Tom. Yeah, it looked like it was in his glove, and it just popped out. Little ejecto glove. I had an issue with that.
You're not alone. There are some guys that had that.
A lot of my greatest plays are plays I just never finished off. I caught it for a second, and, well.
You did all right out there. We saw some of those a minute ago. That one grounded foul. You know, then you moved on after bouncing around to a couple of teams after you left here. You land in Arizona. You get the chance to play, and you end up being an all-star.
Well, not quite an all-star, but.
Well, I mean, you played at an all-star level. You had a couple 20 years there. And
that's what just getting an opportunity does, really.
Diving play at short by Lowry, but he will not get Kendrick running up the first base line. Good effort there by Lowry. It all turns into an infield hit after all that for Howie Kendrick.
Howie Kendrick stays inside the baseball as he does so beautifully, seemingly every at bat. Lowry makes a really nice play, just not going to get the speedy Kendrick.
So now Josh Hamilton, he homered to right field in the second inning. First pitch swinging, fouls it back out of play. Fly to center his last time up. That was the first pitch from Malone. And Hamilton ready for it, jumped all over it. His 15th home run of the season.
Interesting because Josh Hamilton just got another first pitch fastball almost in the same location when he hit the home run.
One to Hamilton through 101 games a year ago in Texas, and that's where the Angels are here in 2013. But 1 year ago, Hamilton had 29 home runs and 84 runs batted in. And by the way, that home run by Hamilton, that was his first home run in 74 consecutive at-bats, spanning 18 games that he has hit against the Oakland A's.
You see the numbers here, the 14 home runs, 28 compared to 28 from last year. Even more telling, you look at his OPS, which is well over 900 at this point last year. It's under 700, and you just wouldn't expect that out of Josh Hamilton. But again, Tom, he's one of those hitters that if he gets in a groove, he could carry this team through the second half of the season. And talking to Mike Scioscia earlier, he's hoping that's obviously going to happen.
2-2 to Hamilton. 100th pitch of the game for Tommy Malone, and not a hint of activity in the Oakland Athletics bullpen. Whereas Malone is not a high-stress sort of a pitcher, meaning it's not everything you have every time you throw it. And has had a number of very easy innings today, so there's not been a lot of real stress on him in this game thus far today.
He mixes his pitches. Again, like I said in the open, or the scouting report, he'll throw any pitch and any count. There's nothing overwhelming about what he brings to the table. He generally fills up the strike zone. He's not an uncomfortable at bat.
And he strikes out Hamilton swinging, his 5th of the afternoon. Let's go back to this at bat. Malone against Hamilton.
He starts him on that fastball. I guess is a little more away than I thought it was. Again, another fastball away. Looks like a little cutter. Comes back with another fastball, challenging him. That almost looked like the same pitch he hit the home run on. Now the breaking ball. And then finishes off with the breaking ball in the dirt. A real nice job of pitching by Tommy Malone, and Josh Hamilton had about one pitch, maybe 2 pitches to hit in that at bat. And when you foul him off, oh well, hang with him.
That was the amazing thing about watching Barry Bonds all those years in a San Francisco Giants uniform as Otero begins to throw now in the Athletics bullpen. Was, Bonds, who has seemingly intentionally walked, if not unintentionally walked every at bat. This should be a double play to end the inning, and it is. Iaspo 4-6-3. Athletics have 2-3-4 coming up in the order, down a run.
In D.C., where David Wright is a career .336 hitter, his 2-out single in the 6th, giving the Mets a run. 4-1 Nationals now in the bottom half of the 7th. Houston and Toronto, the Blue Jays scored 3 in the 8th to make it interesting, but Jose Barris retired Brett Lawrie to end it in the 9th. The Astros win for just the 3rd time in their last 15 games. As we send you back out to Tom and Eric in Oakland.
All righty, it's a 1-0 ball game with the Angels in front on a Josh Hamilton home run all the way back in the 2nd inning. Athletics coming to bat here in the bottom of the 6th, and the day is over for Garrett Ritchie. Goes 5 innings, throws 78 pitches, and they get him out of there. He's been pitching out of the bullpen going all the way back to the end of April. So now Dane De La Rosa, part of an emerging Angels bullpen that has changed names, changed arms, but getting better and better with this current young group they have out there toting form now.
They have some absolute flamethrowers, Tom, and this is one of them. De La Rosa's 47 innings pitched, giving up just 40 hits, 44 strikeouts, almost a strikeout per inning pitch. Real hard thrower. It's going to come right at you.
And he's 1-1 on Jed Lowry, who lead things off. And for whatever reason, De La Rosa has been far better at home. Now, oftentimes for a reliever, that can be one bad game, one bad out. But he has been dynamite on the road. He's only given up 3 earned runs away from Anaheim so far this year. Very nice story written the other day about Dane De La Rosa, and I guess it's only fitting it would happen in this ballpark based on the track record of one-time Athletics manager Tony La Russa. Some of you may have seen the story where, you know, out of the bullpen area, Dane De La Rosa saw an injured bird and was struggling out there, and, you know, with a very, very good heart, whether it be for people or in this case for an animal, you know, he said, I got to do something to help this bird. So he made sure that, you know, the proper people were notified, and somebody came in to help that bird and get back to good health again. I thought that was a very nice story about Dane De La Rosa. Of course, Tony La Russa had a similar experience, and all the work he's done with his ARF is they're going to take a look at the batter here, Lowry, or the umpire, I beg your pardon, not Lowry, the home plate umpire Tom Hallion after getting hit.
The Bird Whisperer, Tom. That's what the title of the article that I read was about Dane De La Rosa.
See where this ball got Tom Hallion.
Tough to tell from that angle. In the midsection, it's never very good, though, Tom.
No, it's not. Let him try and get his breath back about him, and we take a look at our game summary brought to you by Domino's. Oh, yes, we did. Richards, a big story here today. Replacing Joe Blanton in the Angels rotation, gives them 5 innings of 3-hit shutout baseball. Malone has thrown the ball very well, just surrendering the home run to Hamilton. And that's the game's only run. Well, Tom Hallion going to stay in there. Certainly hope he's all right. Lance Barron working at first today. Bill Welke at second. Adrian Johnson at third. And Tom Hallion says he's okay and ready to go. Jed Lowry leading off the bottom of the 6th inning. It's a 3-2 count. And we'll do it again. To finish that thought a moment ago, we're talking about De La Rosa and the injured bird and helping him the other night. Tony La Russa, the story's been told many, many times. It was a cat that made its way out onto the field that he noticed, you know, a lot of the fans were laughing and so on and so forth, but it was a truly a life-changing experience for him when he realized when that cat was in the dugout how terrified that cat was. With all the people around and people chasing it and so on and so forth, and from that moment on, he's dedicated a lot of his life to the Animal Rescue Foundation.
He has. And I've been out there before. I've helped him with one of the events that he puts on. I mean, what a great cause. I'm an owner of 3 bulldogs myself, so definitely understand how important animals are. I know in my life.
No doubt about it. They're the best. There's a high fly ball, short right field. And Cowgill calls off Kendrick, 1 out.
De La Rosa, 6'7", out of Torrance, California, Riverside Community College.
Third baseman, number 20.
He has the ability, and we talked about this earlier with Aroldis Chapman actually off the air, but he's one of the guys, because of the angle that he comes in at, that can effectively pitch up in the zone, as you just saw right there.
Now Donaldson, 16 home runs on the year. His team down a run. We're in the 6th. It's strike 1. Well, De La Rosa, a big man.
It's such a fine line between pitching up in the zone and pitching to that happy zone for the hitter.
Not sure Donaldson agreed with that call. He walks about 25 feet out of the batter's box. And just now back to the dirt area. Looked like a good pitch.
A good pitch, absolutely.
Gone swinging Donaldson, and that's the first strikeout for De La Rosa. 2 away in the inning.
97 miles per hour. And he's just coming at him with fastballs.
Now batting, first baseman.
Real difficult to square up. Whenever I faced a tall pitcher, I always found myself either swinging underneath the baseball, fouling a lot of pitches off. Chris Young, who pitched for the San Diego Padres for such a long time, I always had a lot of trouble with him squaring up his fastball.
Now, why do you think that is? Because it's coming from an arm angle you so rarely see with a guy that tall?
That's exactly it. It's that good downhill angle that tall pitchers are really able to create. Chris Young didn't throw 97 miles per hour either. He threw 88 miles per hour. That was it. And it was really difficult to put the barrel of the bat on the ball. Not necessarily put the barrel of the bat on the ball, but to get on top of the ball.
You see 6'7", 245 pounds. Oh, and 2 to Moss, and it's down and in with a breaking ball.
We'll finally see a breaking ball, and that's a big one.
It's a 1-0 game. This is the kind of game the Athletics have played and won so many of these games. That one banged into center field, a base hit, and that's the first Oakland hit since the bunt single in the 3rd inning by Coco Crisp. Fox Sports is so proud to team up with Feeding America, a nationwide network of food banks that helps feed more than 37 million people in America every year through pantries, soup kitchens, and shelters. We invite you to visit feedingamerica.org/Fox Sports to learn how you can help fight hunger in your community. Together, we're Feeding America. Now Cespedes struck out swinging in the 2nd inning, drew a walk in the 4th. And he's looking for one of those fastballs from De La Rosa to give the A's a 1-run lead. Off the outside corner, ball 1. What we talked about from the very beginning when the question was posed, how do these Athletics do it? I'm not going to say hardcore baseball fans, but a little less than hardcore baseball fans, talking coast to coast. You ask them to name you 3 starters of the 8 position players for the Oakland Athletics, and it would not be a stretch if they could name 3 of them. And yet here they are, 60 wins, 43 losses, won the division championship a year ago. Great pitching. Enough offense, and especially timely offense late to win games.
Yeah, I'm with you, Tom. I don't think they could name 3 of them. And maybe Coco Crisp, maybe Yoenis Cespedes. Outside of that, probably not. It's that high fastball I talked about that's very difficult to get on top of. We saw Moss get on top of it.
We talk about that recipe with the Athletics, but look, Bob Melvin, Billy Bean, you talk to any of them, Chili Davis, their hitting coach, they will all tell you this team has got to hit much better in the second half of the season because you can't depend on your pitching staff over the course of an entire year. I mean, has it happened? Yes. Can it happen again? Of course. When you're scoring, a little better than 3, maybe right at 4 runs per game, it's not easy winning baseball games.
No, what they need is Josh Reddick to get going. 218, 5 home runs entering today. Yoenis Cespedes hitting just 223 entering today. If they could get those guys back to swinging the bats the way they were last season, they'll be just fine down the stretch.
Cespedes swings at that high fastball and comes up empty, and that's all. To hit a man left. 1-0. Angels in front, back after a word from your local Fox station. By Taco Bell. Sometimes you gotta live Moss. Wind beginning to kick up here in Oakland a bit as we move into the afternoon. Look at that, an Eric Burns jersey.
That's part of my pass list. Good to see my family members.
I was going to
say, show up.
That's right. Your uncle from just down the road looks very good in that jersey.
Yes, he does.
Still Tommy Malone out there as he begins the 7th inning on a short end of a 1-0 game. We'll face Iannetta, followed by Eric Iboy, I beg your pardon, and then J.B. Shuck. Right-hander Ryan Cook beginning to throw now in the Athletics bullpen. Swing and a miss, going on 4 pitches in that at bat is Iannetta. And now it's time for our Just for Men mustache and beard play like a champ profile. My oh my, has he been a champ for these Athletics. 40 years old. Since turning 40 at the end of May, he has lost 1 game. Bartolo Colon.
He's fun to watch pitch, I'll tell you that. Talk about attacking hitters, and he really sets the tone for this entire pitching staff.
Of course, a hot topic right here in the Bay Area, again, has been seemingly for a number of years as it pertains to PEDs in baseball, whether it be over on the Giant side or specifically in these days here on the other side about Bartolo Colon. He served a suspension last year when he tested positive for a performance-enhancing drug. His name has been linked to the biogenesis situation, which recently, of course, saw Ryan Braun suspended for the remainder of this year by the Milwaukee Brewers. And many are wondering here in Oakland, as it pertains to Bartolo Colon, when his name came up during the winter, is this something new that occurred after he served his suspension, or is this based on the suspension that he has already served? And no one has been able to give a definitive answer as to where all that stands, because baseball has kept everything very much on the QT. I don't think anybody saw that Braun thing coming until it actually happened a few days ago.
The one encouraging thing that I have taken out of all of this is that I think around the league now, you're starting to get players that are really standing up and they're speaking out against performance-enhancing drugs. Back when I played, we didn't talk about it. It was such a hush-hush thing. Even if you suspected somebody, there wasn't a whole lot of finger-pointing going on. And what a play by Donaldson.
What a play indeed. He just took an extra base hit away from Eric Ibar.
Cat likes instincts over there. Talked about what he's done offensively and what he's meant offensively to this Oakland A's team. Defensively, he's been just as good.
So 2 down in the inning against Malone. 1 out away from getting through 7 strong here today. Bunted by Shug. Donaldson, can he deliver again? He does with a barehanded play, and that'll end the inning. What an effort by Malone. That could be his final inning of work. He leaves trailing 1-0. Bell sponsored by Just for Men Mustache and Beard, champions of facial hair. And by Taco Bell, sometimes you gotta live moss. Welcome back to Oakland. 1-0 game. De La Rosa in his second inning of work out of the bullpen following Garrett Richards, who replaced Joe Blanton in a starting rotation today for the Angels and went 5 innings of 3-hit shutout baseball. Reddick to lead things off here in the 7th. 1-0 Angels. Josh Hamilton hit a home run back in the second inning. That's been it. Left-hander Scott Downs begins to throw in the Angels bullpen. Vern Young and everybody very excited about the effort turned in today by Tommy Malone. That's 114 pitches today, so you got to believe his day is over. Although we'll see. I mean, for the time being, they had Cook hot in the bullpen, and now with the Athletics just coming to the plate, he has a little bit of time to get back up and throw again, if indeed he's coming into the game. But 3-0 the count on Reddick, who is singled and had a hit taken away on a diving play on the right side by Kendrick. Ball 4. Tying run aboard to begin the bottom of the 7th inning. Fox Fantasy Football provides the complete fantasy football experience. Fully customizable leagues, draft guides, cheat sheets, player rankings, state-of-the-art features, mobile access. All 100% FREE. Log on to foxsports.com/fantasy. Start your league today.
Scott Downs in the bullpen right there. Chris Young, the right-hander, is up. I think you'll see De La Rosa face him. Then after that, it's going to be Stephen Vogt. In a one-run game, regardless of what happens with Chris Young, I'd be shocked to see Mike Scioscia not go to the left-hander Downs for Vogt, who's a left-handed batter.
Mike Butcher, the pitching coach, has come under a lot of criticism this year, although early in the week it was C.J. Wilson who came out and really talked up Mike Butcher. He's done a nice job for a long time with these Angels, saying that were it not for him, my season would have not turned around the way it has. In a rotation, it's been wrecked by injuries. Jared Weaver, of course, had the broken left elbow back in April. Tommy Hanson, a right forearm strain, returned this week. Vargas with that blood clot in his armpit. They've been moving guys in and out, up and down, minor leagues, major leagues. And now the bunt attempt. Back to the mound, and they get the lead runner. So Chris Young, a guy who was so infrequently, if ever, asked to put down a sacrifice, batting in the middle of the Arizona lineup, asked to do so here.
Wow, you're right. And that was a sacrifice. Bob Melvin said earlier that, hey, if it's late in the game and we need one run, we will bunt. But again, how often does Chris Young get an opportunity to bunt? Just hasn't done it a whole lot.
De La Rosa will leave in favor of Downs. 1-0 our score in the 7th. Cooperstown, New York, on its Hall of Fame weekend. Offer congratulations to this year's award winners for the 2013 Baseball Hall of Fame inductees and their families. Into left field, hit well, gone. Pinch hit home run off the bat of Derek Norris. Bob Melvin sending up the pinch hitter Norris to hit for both. First pitch thrown by Downs, 2-1 A's.
Incredible. Derek Norris comes off the bench and drills the first pitch fastball from Scott Downs. This is a matchup, Tom, I think that Bob Melvin wanted. Going into that at bat, Derek Norris had 6 home runs and 22 runs driven in on the year. All 6 of those home runs had come against left-handed pitching.
We brought up the recipe. How are they doing it? How have they done it? Still 6 more outs to go for the Athletics pitching staff here, but this is probably evidence number 1A. Great starting pitching. Not a lot of offense until they have to come up with a big hit, and bang, they have a 1-run lead. Gone swinging is Sogard.
They just continue to find ways to get it done. And look at that mullet. Holy cow. Mitch Williams would be proud.
Well, you wore a little bit of one, didn't you?
No. Business in the front, party in the back.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And that one will float into center field and falls in a base hit for Crisp. His second hit today. You know, on the other side of it, we talked to Mike Scioscia. We asked him point blank. So, you know, if you could pick one thing, 2 things, where you look back over your season and say, if that was different and that was different, we would be the A's today. He said, I have no chance, just saying 1 or 2. He said it's been a combination of virtually everything that you could have. Sometimes we hit, and then we go through long stretches where we don't hit at all. Talked about the starting rotation. He would not use injuries as an excuse. But he said, you know, outside of Wilson and Weaver, when he's been healthy, he missed all that time with a broken left elbow. But he said, you know, after those 2 guys, Vargas was throwing the ball well before they found the blood clot, put him on the DL. He said 3, 4, and 5 has been an adventure. Bullpen, some good stretches, but then very inconsistent stretches there. It goes on, and then the defense.
And Scott Downs has been terrific for the Angels. Just got in a situation where Scott Downs is aggressive. First pitch fastball to Norris. You do have to know as a pitcher, though, the mentality of a pinch hitter coming off the bench. You're looking to swing at the first straight ball that you can see.
Huge pinch hit home run for Derek Norris. He'll stay in the game to catch. That's the first time in his career he's ever hit coming off the bench. I mean, just a single pinch hit. Forget a home run. He was 0 for 12 as a pinch hitter before that home run.
Bob Melvin was talking to us earlier about how they haven't gotten a whole lot of production at all from their pinch hitters.
Yeah, I mean, the numbers are dismal. Yeah, that's your third pinch hit home run. But over the course of the season, you're going to have a handful of those virtually on every team. But again, it's a philosophy, and whether you buy into it, like it, or don't, I guess at the end of the day, it's all about what you think is right, wrong, good, bad, and different. It just so happens they believe here in Oakland that the game is all about matchups. And that if there are situations, it doesn't matter if it's a fifth, it doesn't matter if it's a seventh. For every right-handed batter, chances are they have a left-handed complementary sort of batter that they could pinch hit for, replace with defensively. Not everywhere in the field, but a lot of that goes on with this A's team.
Yeah, for years I was on the wrong side of a platoon. As a right-handed hitter, 70% of the pitchers in Major League Baseball, roughly, are right-handed. So as a right-handed batter, you're only facing lefties.
And look at those numbers in one-run games. I mean, that is a huge swing. That is a 14-game swing, if you will. In terms of just winning the one-run game.
I look at the one-run games, and again, this speaks volumes about the Oakland bullpen. That'd be the first reason why I would say they are so successful in one-run games. But the other thing is having the ability to get the big hit when you need it, like they just got there with Norris.
Downs is having a tough go of came in, first pitch, bang, pinch hit, home run, got an out, allowed a hit. And now a 3-1 count on Lowry. That ball hit hard into deep right field. And it's over the head of Cowgill, who misjudged that ball. Racing in to score is crisp. 3-1 A's.
What a really nice swing by Jed Lowry, driving the ball the other way. Very difficult play right there for Cowgill. Unable to come up with it. And you see Coco Crisp with 2 outs. He's off on this crack of the bat. Scores easily.
That's all for Downs. 3-1 Athletics. trying to get that final out here in what has been a 3-run Athletics 7th inning. Donaldson, the only Athletic in their lineup that has not reached base safely in the game. Ball 1. Four go-ahead home runs in the 7th inning or later in the last 6 games.
The last 6 games. Incredible.
And one of them from Coco Crisp. That was earlier in the week down in Houston. And now Crisp, who single here in the 7th inning, 2-hit game, scores on the double by Lowry. 2-0 the count on Donaldson, who struck out twice and bounced to third.
I believe it's also the 4th consecutive game in which a Athletics catcher has hit a home run. Jaso, Norris, Vogt last night, and then Norris again today.
Norris coming off the bench after the change was made by Mike Scioscia to lift De La Rosa and bring on Scott Downs. 3-1 to count on Donaldson. Certainly the bats come alive here in the Oakland 7th inning. We're shut down through the first 5 today, first 6 today. Just to our left.
Got me out of my seat.
3-2. So Tommy Malone all of a sudden is now in line, if the bullpen can do its job, to get a win here. Of course, we've got 2 more innings to go, and it's only a 2-run game. Swinging a foul ball out of play again. Remains 3-2.
That's a category, I think, statistically, that is so often up for debate now of how important the win is. Not as much weight put into that. I actually asked a major league general manager when was the last time he looked at a win-loss record when evaluating a pitcher. It was Brian Sabian from the Giants, and he said it's been a long time.
There's ball 4 to Donaldson.
Now batting, first baseman.
Not been a good day for the Angels bullpen. Jepson following Downs and De La Rosa after 5 shutout innings turned in by starter Garrett Richards. De La Rosa, an inning plus, allows a hit, a walk, a run. Downs so far charged with a couple of runs, and now Jepson walks the first batter he faces, and they have Joe Blanton, who was replaced in the Angels rotation today, getting loose in the bullpen. Big swing and a foul ball back from Brandon Moss.
Real good swing by Moss right there. We saw him in his last at bat hit a bullet up the middle against De La Rosa. He just had a healthy cut at that. Barrel of the bat out front, no doubt about it. Exactly where you want to be.
Pull to the right side, and Kendrick down on one knee to make sure, and that's all for the A's, but a big 7th inning. The go-ahead pinch hit home run off the bench by Norris. Go to the 8th. They stand and cheer in Oakland, and the A's with a 2-run lead. Run by Norris off the Oakland bench. And now taking over on the mound, the A's lone representative to the All-Star game a year ago is a 25-year-old rookie, is right-hander Ryan Cook. He had a little bump in the road over about a 2-week stretch right around a month ago when he gave up 5 runs over 6 outings. But my oh my, has he righted his ship. He has not allowed an earned run over his last 11 games. When you talk about home run stingy, we're talking about why you win a lot of tight games and 1-run games. You have relievers who don't give up any home runs. And that's Ryan Cook. He has not allowed a home run in his 45 innings pitched this year. That's the most among all American League relievers. He has not given up a home run in his last 68 games.
You see the good two-seam movement, 95 miles per hour. He has a really tight breaking ball to go with it. The movement starts on the outside corner of the plate, runs all the way back across.
Cook came over in that deal from Arizona along with Jared Parker for Trevor Cahill. Well, that is one nifty trade there made by the Athletics, as was the deal for Gio Gonzalez. They traded him away. That was that trade we talked about, December in 2011. 3 All-Star players Billy Beane sent out of town in 1 month during the offseason. In the following year, they're American League Western Division champions. Swing and a miss, and that's the way we start the 8th inning.
That's filthy. See that late bite. Comes out looking like a fastball and just drops off the table. You mentioned trading away the All-Stars. Billy Beane's never been afraid to do that. And you look at the core fabric of their team now, it's all the pieces that they got in return from trading away those players.
One away in the inning, and it's ball 1 outside to Trout. You know, those are the trades you talk about all the time, and it's where the Florida Marlins were so great for so long. With Larry Beinfest, their general manager. You know, they win the World Series. Dave Dombrowski was there that first go-round. They dismantled the whole thing. And when you're getting rid of all those big stars and high-priced players, how are you then rebuilding the next wave? Which is what they did. Then when they got rid of them again, and they go out and start making the deals, you know, and you're bringing in now all of a sudden the Josh Beckett's and the Hanley Ramirez. That's Larry Beinfest taking over that organization. And they won a World Series with that crop. And, of course, they've had to do it again. I didn't miss by much.
Good pitch.
2 balls and a strike.
Well, I'm pretty sure the way Billy Beane will look at things, you see questionable pitch there on the outside corner, potentially just off. But you have about a 6-year window with these players until they hit free agency. And Oakland's pretty much already told the world that they're not going to sign their guys, even their all-star players, into their free agent years. It's just not how they generally operate. If they're going to add a veteran player, they'd rather do it through free agency or through trade. Very rarely is it that you see somebody stay in an Oakland uniform for a very long period of time. Constantly replenishing the well, really.
Two and two to count on Trout. Angels down by a pair. We are in the 8th inning. Nobody on and 1 out. Now, in all fairness, you know, we've talked about all these great deals the A's have made, and we've talked about what they've done to put this team together. And listen, it's not like some voice in the wilderness that all of a sudden says, hold on a second, show me the rings. That is a legitimate question about the way the A's are having to run things here in baseball. But, you know, the thing was about that whole, you know, Moneyball situation was, as it's 2-2, still 2-2. I never remember hearing Billy Beane or anybody else for that matter coming out and saying, you know, we're smarter than everybody else. That was a writer who wrote that. Michael Lewis wrote that kind of thing.
Very good writer.
And so, very, very good writer. And so, you know, I think oftentimes there was hostility towards Beane and this organization as though they were patting themselves on the back for being smarter than everybody else, when they were really just forced to look at it from a different perspective, strictly based on money. There's a ground ball, glove side. Oh, glove of Lowry. And so now the tying run will come to the plate in the form of Trumbo, who is a team leader in home runs.
Trout drills it up the middle. Tough ball to handle, but probably a play that Lowry should have had. As good as he's been offensively, there are still questions about his defense. He does want to play shortstop every day. But wanting to and playing up to a major league caliber shortstop, it's a couple different things.
So now Trumbo, 22 home runs. And remember now, Cook on the mound is not allowed a home run spanning his last 71 innings. 68 games.
I think Angel fans are hoping you keep talking about it. Go ahead and set him up.
Hit off the end of the batter roller, foul. They have a left-hander, Doolittle, getting loose in the Oakland bullpen. And he's getting ready for one guy and one guy only. And that would be Josh Hamilton should we get to his spot here in the 8th inning. Swing and a miss. That's good morning, good afternoon, and good night.
This is the tight breaking ball that I was talking about, Tom. It comes out looking like a fastball, and it's a short, quick bite. Very difficult to hit.
Kendrick 1 out of 3. And this figures to be the final batter either way for Cook. He either gets a final out in this 8th inning or hands a ball to Doolittle to face Josh Hamilton next. Kendrick with 11 home runs so far this year. And a lot of attention to Trout over there. So you can understand if it's a 2nd, 3rd, 4th inning. Although, do you think about trying to get maybe into scoring position with 2 outs, knowing Hamilton's waiting on deck in the 8th inning? That would be a gamble. There he goes. And a throw down there is not nearly in time, and so a gamble taken and a win for Trout.
You can steal a base that easily. Cook not very quick, about 1-3. Almost 1-4 to home plate. Trout has that in his back pocket. Not necessarily a risk you want to take, but if you know you're going to steal that bag, go ahead. Kendrick's the guy that matters, though. It's a time run.
Strike 1.
Again, it's that breaking ball, and the reason why it's so difficult to hit is it's tough to distinguish between the fastball and the breaking ball with Ryan Cook. both of them come out of his hand looking like the same pitch. One of them drops a good 1.5 to 2 feet, and the other one continues to ride through the zone.
Now Cook ahead 1-2. In the air, left field, backing up and able to corral it as Young, and the inning is over. So Cook survives the 8th. Cespedes leads off the bottom of the inning. Oakland leads 3-1. By Ace, a helpful place, and by the all-new 2014 Chevy Silverado. Having a great time here in Oakland on a beautiful Saturday afternoon. Turn back the clock day to 1969. What the music here today has just been amazing.
About as amazing as those Oakland A's uniforms.
Well, here's Joe Blanton. 248 starts in his career, including every outing he's made in an Angels uniform this season. Only 9 times has he pitched out of the bullpen. The last being the first week of his season a year ago while still with Philadelphia. And the only reason he pitched out of the bullpen then is because they were just trying to get him a little bit of work, not needing a 5th starter very early in the year. See 13 losses this season for Blanton. After they brought him in during the offseason, or really they revamped, did their general manager Jerry DiPoto, that rotation after Weaver and Wilson, bringing in Blanton, bringing in Vargas. And there's a high fly ball into left field. And Shuck has it for out number 1. And of course they also made the deal to get Tommy Hanson. And And that has not played out well at all.
No, not really. Neither one of those have. 116 innings pitched for Blanton. He's given up 157 hits. Opponents hitting 317 against him. Mike Scioscia hoping that a switch to the bullpen might be something to mix it up. Whatever it takes to get Blanton going.
Because Blanton has had a very good major league career. I mean, he's never been a number 1 guy, never been a number 2 guy, but as they know here in Oakland, he gave them some really good seasons on some clubs that weren't very good. Gave the Phillies good stretches in their starting rotation, and then he comes to Anaheim with high hopes in that rotation, and you know, some of these numbers, including that one right there, home runs allowed, the ERA, opponent's batting average, you can go on and on and on. It's just been a rough go for Joe Blanton. There's nothing much you can say about it.
Well, I played with Joe Blanton, Tom. He's a competitor. He's going to go out there and compete. You look at the stuff now, it's not what it once was, but it's really not that far off. He was never a mid-90s guy, low 90s at best.
And looking into the bright sunshine is Ibar to make the catch. 2 are out. Well, Angels fans, we invite you to tune into Fox Sports West tomorrow, the final game of this series. Coverage begins at 12:30 Pacific time. It was a pleasure to chat for a while with Mark Langston today. He calls the Angels games on radio. And having been almost exclusively a National League guy, you know, in my career in broadcasting, you know, Langston was always one of those guys you'd watch him pitch on TV from time to time. Well, he was something. There's a fly ball into left. And a 1-2-3/8. Good for Joe Blanton. We're on our way to the ninth. Balfour will try and close it out, leading 3-1. About that. Native Australian took over as a closer a season ago. Blew his first save of this year. Just last week, they do the Balfour rage when he enters a game here in Oakland. So now Balfour trying to close it out for Tommy Malone after they got 1 inning of relief from Ryan Cook. Balfour will face Hamilton, Callaspo, and Iannetta.
Well, they love Balfour here in Oakland. It's probably a good thing we don't have a microphone on him. Tends to talk to himself out on the mound.
And he says that's what us Australians like to do, is get ourselves fired up in any form or fashion. 35-year-old. Mentioned his 2nd year as a closer. His 3rd with the Athletics. Became the 2nd Australian ever to play in an All-Star game, joining catcher Dave Nielsen, who did so with Milwaukee back in 1999. Hamilton in his career 1 for 9. The one hit a home run off Balfour. Popped up. And Lowry drifting. 1 out.
Now batting, number 6, Alberto Callaspo.
Well, we certainly wish Albert Pujols well. We mentioned before the game, for those of you that were not with us, that Pujols flew back to Los Angeles this morning, as that plantar fascia of his continues to really bother him, so much so that he left the team to have it examined once more. We certainly wish Albert, I'm sure you're watching today. We hope all goes well. Look forward to seeing you back in the lineup soon.
Balfour starting off Callaspo with the breaking ball. Kind of surprising, figuring you have the 2-run lead. I wouldn't be shocked if Callaspo was up there taking a strike anyway. His job here just to get on base. Try to make something happen.
0-2. Our producer of today's game, Jeff Gowan. Our director, Jim Lynch. Our associate director, Eric Billigmeyer. And our associate producer, Mr. Andy Cavanaugh. Our technical producer is Mr. Danny Rotante. And a pleasure to be with you here from Oakland on this Saturday. 2 outs to go for Balfour and the A's. The Leonard play with a 4-game lead over the Rangers in the American League West. And Texas will tee him up in Cleveland, Ohio, in a little less than an hour from now. Balfour has only blown 1 of his last 45 save chances, and that was this past week. Tell you what, you watch Balfour enough, and the next time you head to the coffee machine, you'll be reaching for decaf.
I saw him this morning. Cup of coffee in hand. I don't think it was decaf.
No, I'm quite sure of that.
Once more, another foul ball out of play by Callaspo. He's making Balfour work out there. Seventh pitch coming in this at bat. Hank Conger, backup catcher to Iannetta, stands in the on-deck circle and may bat next. Softly into center field. 2 out. Take a look at our King play of the game, brought to you by Burger King, where taste is king. First pitch off the bench, Derek Norris. A 2-run home run that came off Scott Downs. Came with a man aboard. And a 1-0 lead for the Angels gone. They added 1 more run in the inning. 3 of them in the 7th. Only 1 other inning in the game do the Angels have more, or the A's have more than 1 hit in an inning. And that was in the 3rd. But now Conger looks at a strike. Big shift put on for the left-handed batting Conger. 0-1 the count. Well, Bernsey, it's been a lot of fun being with you today. Keep up the great work over there on the MLB Network. I know you got the radio thing going here in the Bay Area as well.
Appreciate that, Tom.
Absolutely.
Good to see you.
You too.
Last time was when you were at the Diamondbacks.
It's been a while.
Calling games. My, oh my.
That was a long time ago.
And Burns fails to get the runner from second to third once again.
Popped up right side into foul ground. Coming over and making the play is Boss, and that's all. The Athletics win again. And their record goes to 61-43. Right now we send it back to the MLB Network studios. Our post-game coverage begins. Here's Matt Vasgersian and Cliff Floyd as we say so long from Oakland, California.